Imagine, one day you find a mysterious map in the old library on Oak Island. The ink is faded, the paper is torn, but the markings on it? They could change everything. This wasn't an ordinary map. It was a medieval map, filled with symbols that no one has ever deciphered. Some say the map was created by the Knights Templar themselves, and it holds the true path to that $150 million treasure. When Rick and Marty Lagina look at this map, their faces turn pale. The patterns revealed by scanners and ground radar point in the exact direction people have been digging for centuries. The forbidden zone between Smith's Cove and the Money Pit. But now the question is, will this map really lead to the treasure, or is it part of a larger conspiracy? Some experts say the map may not be genuine, but when they tested the ink, they found carbon traces dating back to the 1300s, which means it could really be from the medieval era. Now the entire Oak Island crew is in shock, because if this map turns out to be true, the world's biggest secret could finally be revealed. So friends, if you want to know the truth behind this map, whether it's the key to a treasure or part of an ancient warning, watch the full video. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe, because the biggest truth about Oak Island is about to be revealed. That day of excavation was unlike any other. The soil on Oak Island had often been deceptive, but this time there was something different in the air. The team was digging deep when suddenly the excavator's bucket struck something hard. Initially, everyone thought it was a stone, but when the soil was cleared, an old wooden chest was revealed. Its surface was covered with moss and rust, as if it had been locked underground for centuries. Everyone's eyes were shining, but fear was also in their hearts. Was this what they had been waiting for? Rick slowly bent down, removed the soil, and cleaned the iron bars on the chest. Marty's hands trembled as he slowly opened the rusted latch. What was inside astonished everyone. A thick parchment roll wrapped in pieces of old cloth. As soon as it was opened, its faded ink and strange shapes captured everyone's attention. Rick was speechless for a moment. Marty says softly, "Rick, this looks like a map." But it wasn't any ordinary map. It had symbols, Latin words, and some signs they'd never seen before. The camera slowly zooms in on the map, curved lines, cross-like symbols, and a Latin sentence written along the edge. Sub terra veritas latet, meaning, the truth is hidden beneath the ground. Marty's face turns pale at the sight of the line. Rick touches the area with his hand and says, "Have we finally found what we've been searching for so long?" The rest of his team looks at each other, astonished. No one can believe they're witnessing a living piece of history. The team immediately secures the map and captures every detail on camera. Faint ink. Marks indicate it could be hundreds of years old. Rick says with a slight smile, "Oak Island has revealed its secrets again." But that smile also hid fear, because every discovery on Oak Island brings with it a new challenge. Marty whispers, "If this map is real, then the next step is going to be a big one." And then the camera slowly pulls back, zooming in on the map, which probably already had the path to the treasure written on it. The next day, the Oak Island team sent the map to the historical lab in Halifax, placing it in a secure case. Both Rick and Marty wanted to have every doubt answered. After all, this wasn't just any piece of paper, but a centuries-old clue. Within hours, 3 leading experts in archaeology, ancient language, and ink analysis arrived. The atmosphere in the room was solemn. The map lay on the table, surrounded by microscopes, UV lamps, and old parchment scanners. Everyone was silent, as if praying before touching something sacred. The ink expert first examined the parchment under special light. As the ultraviolet light shone on it, faded letters and symbols appeared with a faint blue glow. He said softly, "This ink looks like iron gall ink, used in medieval Europe." Marty looked at Rick in astonishment. This was the first time anyone had dated a map this old. A small piece of parchment was then sampled for carbon dating. The entire team stared at the machine's screen with bated breath. When the result came back, estimated age 1290 to 1350 AD, the room fell silent. Rick's eyes lit up, but so did fear. He said softly, 1300s. I mean, this is really from the medieval era. The archaeologist examined the map's edges and determined that the parchment was made of animal skin, a material used for royal or secret documents at the time. He also translated the Latin words Terra Sancta Custodit, meaning Holy Land is protected. Rick took a deep breath. Was this land on Oak Island part of some religious or mystical mission? When the language expert tried to decipher the map's shapes, he revealed something else surprising. The cross on the map had the same pattern as the sacred symbols of the Knights Templar. He said, "If this map is real, it could be a blueprint created by the Templar Order." Marty was in disbelief. So, the legend we heard as kids, could it be true? Rick tilted his head and said, "Maybe. And if so, then we've uncovered not just a map, but a door to history." Everyone in the room was wide-eyed, and the mystery of Oak Island seemed deeper than ever. The map was no longer just a piece of paper. It had become a key that could unlock perhaps the world's oldest secret. The story of the Knights Templar is a mystery in itself, a secret organization that once held power, wealth, and faith throughout Europe. Formed in the 1100s, this group wasn't just soldiers, but religious protectors, known as God's chosen warriors. Legend has it that they possessed numerous sacred relics, gold coins, and ancient artifacts from the Holy Land, Jerusalem. But when the Church and European kings conspired against them, the entire order was disbanded in 1307. Thousands of Templars were executed, but their treasure was never found. Since then, the theory has spread that they hid their treasure somewhere outside Europe through secret routes. Many historians and treasure hunters believe that around this time, the Templars crossed the Atlantic Ocean and reached the shores of Canada. Oak Island, off the coast of Nova Scotia, is believed to be their hiding place. Here, they built tunnels, traps, and secret chambers where they hid gold, relics, and perhaps even the Holy Grail. Old maritime records also indicate that strange ships were roaming the Atlantic undetected during that period, bearing cross-like symbols on their flags, the same symbols now visible in Rick Lagina's map. When Rick and Marty's team show the map's outlines to experts, they find that its layout matches the coast of Nova Scotia. One historian says, if this map is truly from the 1300s, it's possible the Templars recorded the path of their final journey. 3 lines on the map indicate 3 possible routes across the Atlantic, from France to England, then to Greenland, and from there to Canada. This route is known as the Templar Trail. Several researchers have previously discovered Templar symbols on Oak Island, such as a cross-shaped stone formation called Nolan's Cross. Now, this new map further strengthens the theory that Oak Island was their last hidden hideout. Perhaps they hid something here that could change the world. Gold, sacred texts, or technology no one could understand at the time. Rick whispers, "So, aren't we looking for just treasure, but the most sacred secret in history?" Marty looks at him and says, "If all this is true, it will change not just the story of Oak Island, but the story of all human civilization." The camera zooms in on the map. Just below the cross is a small line that reads, "Custodium Fidei." Faith will protect it. And that's the moment everyone realizes this map isn't just a path to treasure, but part of a profound spiritual legacy. When the map was examined in detail under a microscope and a high-resolution scanner, its true complexity was revealed. These were not just simple ink marks on the old parchment. Every line, every circle, and every cross hinted at a deeper meaning. A large cross in the center of the map stood out from the rest of the symbols. At its four corners were smaller circles engraved with strange letters like M, V, and T. Experts suggested these letters might represent 4 secret points, places where underground tunnels intersect. When Rick turned the map over, he realized that the cross exactly matched Nolan's cross, a large stone symbol on Oak Island. This cross in the map pointed to a central chamber, perhaps the location of the true treasure or relic. Surrounding it were concentric circles, which could represent an energy flow or water trap system. Seeing this, Marty said, "It seems this isn't a natural map. It's a blueprint for an engineered structure." On the right side of the map were some geometric patterns, triangles, hexagons, and a spiral that seemed to curve downward. Archaeologists believe these represent the design of underground passages and trap tunnels. Some experts even suggested that the spiral pattern might be a protective symbol the Templars used around their sacred objects to prevent intruders from easily finding them. Both Rick and Marty were stunned. Such an intricate design couldn't have been created by an ordinary person. But the real shock came when a sentence appeared in the bottom corner of the map. Deus vult. This is Latin, meaning God wills it. This was the same slogan the Knights Templar used during the Crusades. It implied that their mission was divine, commanded by God, not humans. Rick looked at the line and said softly, "Maybe it's not just treasure. It's part of a divine responsibility." The team traced each symbol on the map with digital software and found that when combined, they created a precise 3D layout of Oak Island, tunnels, chambers, and water traps, all clearly visible. It was as if some medieval engineer had already recorded the entire mystery of the underground on this parchment. And then Rick said, "If all this is true, then Oak Island isn't just a place. It's a living code." Rick Lagina stood silently for a long time, holding the old map in his hands. His eyes were filled with excitement, but also with deep hesitation. He said softly, "If this map is real, then this is the biggest moment of our lives." Marty looked at him and said, "But brother, Oak Island has given us hope and then shattered it many times before." Rick said with a slight smile, "Yes, but this time it's different. This time, the evidence speaks for itself." There was a genuine fear in his voice, fear that this dream might remain unfulfilled like all the others. The very next day, the team decided to verify the map's directions with modern technology. Rick called in a full team of ground-penetrating radar, electromagnetic scanners, and magnetic anomaly detectors. The early morning weather on Oak Island was foggy, and the entire team stood there, ready like a cinematic scene. Sensors were placed on the ground, drones were launched into the sky, and the digital map was aligned with the map's symbols. All eyes were on the radar screen, where the real miracle began in just a few seconds. As the signals came in, strange patterns began to form on the screen. Glowing golden and red lines on the radar indicated the presence of metallic objects underground. Some readings showed clear rectangular outlines, like the walls of an old structure. Marty said softly, "There's something here, and it doesn't look natural." Rick took a deep breath and replied, "Maybe this is the place shown under the cross on the map." The scanner's frequency was increased, and the readings became sharper. A technician reported that the depth was around 110 feet and that voids, or empty spaces, were being detected. This meant that some kind of chambers existed below. Some areas on the radar screen began to glow like glowing golden zones, as if metallic reflections were bouncing off the ground. The entire team was stunned for a moment. This was the spot where the symbols on the medieval map were converging. The map and reality were matching. Rick sat down, picked up a handful of soil, and said softly, "Whatever this earth has hidden for centuries, perhaps it wants to reveal itself now." His voice was filled with emotion. Marty patted him on the back and said, "If the readings are true, we're just one step closer to the secret that changed our lives." Rick smiled slightly, but his eyes were still moist. He knew that every discovery of Oak Island brought with it danger. Tunnel collapses, floods, and the infamous curse that says, "The treasure can only be found if 7 people die." Another pattern appeared on the radar screen, a straight line connecting the previously discovered voids. The technical team said it looked like a tunnel-like formation. Rick said, "So the map was right. It wasn't just symbols, it was a guide." The camera captures the moment in cinematic slow motion. Rick drawing marks in the soil, Marty looking at glowing golden spots on the screen, and behind him, the wind-swept soil writing a new chapter in Oak Island's story. Dusk slowly sets in, but the team remains at the site. A faint flicker still appears on the screen, as if a dark force is calling from below. Rick looks at the camera and says, "We're close. Very close." His voice carries no weariness, but an unwavering conviction. And then, amid the dramatic background score, the narrator's voice echoes, "The land of Oak Island will no longer remain silent. This time, it will reveal its secrets." When radar readings revealed that the spot shown on the map was exactly where Smith's Cove and Money Pit lie, the entire team was devastated. This was the area the government had declared a forbidden excavation zone. Excavation or drilling of any kind was strictly prohibited there. Rick stood with the map in his hand, his eyes clearly agape. He said softly, "After so many years of searching, why ban excavation at the very place we've finally found?" Marty shook his head. "It's as if someone deliberately closed this place to keep it a secret." Rick and Marty immediately appealed to the government for permission. They prepared a thorough case with documentation, geological evidence, and archaeological records. But the answer came back. Area under environmental and structural protection, meaning no excavation could take place. Rick said frustratedly, "Environmental protection or secret protection?" This question echoed in the air. Many locals on Oak Island believed the government already knew the truth beneath this place, but was hiding it from the world. And now that the map had been found, this ban seemed like a deep conspiracy. Rick didn't give up. He said, "If we don't get permission, we'll conduct scientific testing." Without digging. The team then installed advanced ground sensors that could measure vibrations and pressure changes deep within the ground without breaking the surface. It was nighttime, a cool breeze was blowing, and readings slowly appeared on the screen. Suddenly, there was a sharp rise in the graphs, as if water in a tunnel below had started moving. Marty asked in alarm, "What is this?" The technician said, "Pressure rise. Means there's a sealed chamber below that is connected to water." The next day, experts were called in to explain the meaning of the water channels and curved lines on the map. They explained that medieval engineers, the Knights Templar, possessed advanced hydraulic knowledge even at that time. They had created booby traps that prevented anyone from reaching the treasure. As soon as someone dug in the wrong place, water would rush into the tunnel, submerging everything. Rick recalled, the same thing happened at the money pit. As soon as the digging started, it filled with water. A shiver ran down everyone's spine. Was this the same system that's still active today? The team conducted a pressure test with ground sensors. The machines sent vibrations, and a few seconds later, the readings showed. Massive hydraulic movement detected. A faint rumble was heard underground, and tiny bubbles of water began to rise to the surface. Rick stepped back, his eyes wide with surprise. "This centuries-old trap is still working," he said. Marty replied softly, "The Templars didn't just hide treasure. They built a trap." The camera zoomed in on the ground, where a slight moisture rose, as if something had awakened beneath. The narrator's voice echoed, "How many lives were swallowed by these traps built centuries ago? And now, with the truth just a step away, Oak Island is defending itself again." Rick takes a deep breath and says, "We're on the right track, but we have to be very careful now." And then, the glowing signal flashes again on the radar screen, right where the map had drawn a cross. It's as if the ground itself is saying, "The treasure is here, but it's not easy to get to." Drilling day was the most stressful day yet for the Oak Island team. A cold wind blew, and the vibrations from underground made everyone's heart race. The machines were slowly working their way to the edge of the forbidden zone, where the radar had given metallic readings. Suddenly, the metal detector's shrill sound echoed. "Alert! High metal concentration detected!" The entire team stopped. Rick and Marty looked at each other. The technician said, "Sir, this isn't a small object. It looks like a large metallic structure." Rick's eyes lit up and he said softly, "We found something big." But instead of showing the object, the camera paused in suspense. Only blinking sonar lines and a faint rectangular shadow appeared on the screen. What the sonar image showed stunned everyone. The depth was approximately 160 feet, and there was a clear rectangular metallic outline, like an ancient chest or sealed chamber. It measured approximately 12 by 8 feet. Marty said softly, "This can't be a natural formation." Rick was silent for a moment, then said, "If this is what we think, then this could be the world's greatest archaeological discovery." Excavation was halted so that a ground pressure test could be conducted. The camera zoomed in on the sonar screen. A golden glow appeared in the dark background, as if some energy or light was trapped beneath. The narrator's voice came in, "Oak Island has spoken again, but what it reveals this time may change everything." The entire team remained on site until nightfall. Rick said he wouldn't reveal it yet. "First, we need to confirm whether it's an artifact or a trap, because the map showed the same location near the water trap system. Ground sensors detected minor pressure changes, and a slight vibration was felt in the ground. The team believed a sealed chamber beneath, still pressurized, really existed. Suspense was at its peak. They knew that if this was treasure, it might also be accompanied by Oak Island's greatest curse. But the secret couldn't be hidden for long. The very next day, an insider leaked blurred images of the sonar footage. Within hours, Oak Island discovery began trending on Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube. The headline, "Medieval Map Points to $150 million Treasure," sent the internet into a frenzy. Some speculated it was the lost treasure of the Knights Templar, while others believed it could be a holy relic, perhaps the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. Theories erupted on Reddit. One user wrote, "Rectangular metallic object? That's no chest, it's a vault." While another said, "The government will hide it again, just like before." Memes began spreading on Twitter. One featured Marty Lagina as Indiana Jones, with the caption, "When you finally find the world's most cursed treasure." News channels also jumped at the chance to make it a headline. Some anchors asked, "Has the 700-year-old mystery of Oak Island finally been solved?" While others said, "This is all staged for show." But this time, Rick's team made no statement. They simply said, "We are verifying the truth." Silence itself became the loudest signal. Meanwhile, media vans thronged the Oak Island excavation site. Reporters were taking pictures from afar. One shot showed Rick and Marty standing near a metallic container, and that image spread like wildfire across the internet. Fans were commenting, "They found it! This is history! Templar treasure is real!" The suspense was now even deeper than before. No one knew what exactly lay beneath: gold, relics, or some ancient mechanism that had remained untouched for centuries. And Rick Lagina left the site with just one line: "What lies beneath is perhaps beyond human comprehension." The camera zooms in on the sonar image where the metallic rectangle is glowing, and the narrator's voice slowly fades in. Oak Island has once again raised the question: is the world ready to know the truth? That moment of excavation was the most thrilling and dangerous moment in Oak Island's history. The entire team was silent, no sound except the hum of the machines. Old wooden beams were slowly being removed from beneath the ground. As the layers beneath were exposed, dust of soil began to glow in the camera lights. And then, suddenly, the excavator's bucket struck something solid, a sound like a thud. That startled everyone. Rick immediately signaled, "Wait, slowly." The workers began removing the soil with their hands, and what emerged a few minutes later left everyone breathless. Underneath, a large slab of stone appeared, perfectly flat, and the markings engraved on it looked like ancient code, not art. Marty shone a flashlight, and suddenly, the same symbols appeared as on that medieval map. The same crosses, the same circles, the same Latin letters. Rick said in a trembling voice, "It's the same. It's exactly the same." There was a slight tremor in his hands, and his eyes reflected both disbelief and excitement. Marty said, softly, "So that means the map was true." The camera zoomed in on the stone slab. It read Deus Vult, meaning God wills it, the same sentence that had appeared beneath the map. There was no longer any doubt. This map pointed to the very place where the Templars had hidden their secret. Rick touched the mud-covered stone and said, "This changes everything." Tears welled up in his eyes. This wasn't just a discovery, but the fulfillment of his life's purpose. Marty stood behind, smiling, but his voice held fear. "If this is really what we think it is, then we have to be very careful." The team set up scanners around the slab to determine if there was a hollow space beneath. Sensors confirmed. There was a void beneath the stone, meaning an empty chamber existed. Everyone was in shock. This wasn't just any piece of land, but part of an engineered structure. Now, everyone understood that the mystery of Oak Island wasn't just a legend. It was actually the work of a major civilization or order. But as soon as the news spread, debate erupted. Some historians dismissed it as a mere coincidence. One expert said, "The matching of symbols is certainly unusual, but that doesn't mean it was the work of the Templars." Believers argued that the similarity of the 1300s map design and the markings on this slab couldn't be a mere coincidence. Videos went viral on Reddit and YouTube. People began exclaiming, "Finally, proof of Templar treasure." Science and faith clashed head-on. Historians attributed it to medieval art or a shipbuilder's code. while believers argued it was part of a holy mission. Archaeologists said carbon testing and satellite imaging were essential, but Templar enthusiasts said, "Science has proven Oak Island wrong so many times. Now accept the truth." Rick and Marty stood in the middle of this debate. Rick told the media, "All I know is that what we saw is beyond our understanding. Call it science or faith. But something has been drawing us here for centuries." Marty added, "What we found isn't just treasure. It's a lost layer of history." At this moment, the atmosphere on Oak Island resembled a battlefield. Scientific skepticism on one side, and the fervor of people filled with faith on the other. TV anchors were calling it the clash of centuries. But Rick's eyes were fixated on the stone slab, the one with the inscription, "God wills it." He knew that beneath that sentence lay the secret that had drawn hundreds of people to Oak Island. And now that the truth was out in the open, the world wasn't ready to accept it. The camera lingers on the slab, still casting a faint glow between the grains of soil. The narrator's voice echoes in the background. On one side stands the cold gaze of science, and on the other, the fire of faith. But what lies beneath Oak Island is perhaps greater than both. When Rick and Marty send photos of the stone slab to the lab, a team of linguists and cryptographers analyze it in detail. After hours of microscopic scans, a new part of the map is deciphered, one that was previously hidden in a haze of dirt and ink. Written on that faded part was, "Beware what lies beneath." As this line was read to Rick, the room fell silent. He said softly, "So, this map isn't just showing the way to a treasure, it's also warning us." Rick's eyes were filled with worry. Marty looked at the map and said, "Maybe it's not a treasure, but a trap, or something not made for humans." Fear and mystery hung in the air. The narrator's voice was deep. Perhaps Oak Island wasn't hidden centuries ago just because there was gold, but because there was something buried there that needed to be hidden from the world. Ancient legends say that some relics are divine. Exposing them would upset the balance of the world. Rick now understood that this excavation wasn't just an adventure, but akin to provoking an ancient power. The next day, the decision was made to stop the excavation. The machines were turned off, and the cameras remained fixed on the stone slab in static shot. The air was heavy, as if Oak Island itself was breathing. Rick stood in the center of the site, his voice soft. "We've only touched the surface. What lies beneath is perhaps beyond our understanding." The rest of the team was silent. No one had an answer. The camera slowly zoomed out, and a faint vibration could be heard coming from beneath the soil, as if the place were still alive. Then, with a dramatic background score, the scene faded. Rick's soft whisper was heard. "This isn't the end. It's just the beginning." And then the narration echoes. The mystery of Oak Island has deepened. The warning that was sent centuries ago has now resurfaced. A montage plays on the screen. Rick and Marty's team are leaving the site. Government trucks are sealing off the area again, and news headlines once again appear. Excavation suspended. What are they hiding? Theories flood Reddit. Clips go viral on YouTube. Some say ancient technology is buried beneath. Others claim the site is the resting place of a divine relic. If you think this map is real, leave your theory in the comments. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Because the biggest truth about Oak Island is about to be revealed.